So I'm really excited. This building has always been like a dam that blocks the success of Hayes Valley to Civic Center. This is going to transform the area. It's going to make a huge difference. And it's finally going to become a beautiful building after being 43 years as a truly ugly building. So, welcome. Thanks for coming so much. And let me introduce our first speaker, Supervisor Jane Kim. Now, guys, this could not be a better, I didn't stage this. This is actual fact. When you finish, after the supervisor has finished speaking, just come over here and just look out that window. This is called the Twitter zone. And you know why it's called the Twitter zone? Because Twitter is right there. You can see the roof deck of Twitter. That legislation change that basically released the sales taxes for this critical area of Market Street has transformed the city. You know, cities actually can go in different directions. If that Twitter zone hadn't passed, and if Yammer and Squared and Twitter and now Dolby, though didn't need to do it, if they hadn't come here, they would have gone somewhere else. And guess what? People wouldn't be talking about San Francisco as the modern miracle. They would be talking about San Francisco as the future Detroit. So it is tremendous. And this is an example of terrific city planning. This was part of the Market Octavia plan. They basically focused on the transportation, and they wanted high-density housing, and by God, they're getting it. Anyway, Supervisor Jane Kim was critical to the success of the city, and I would love her if she would come up and say a few words to us. Thanks.
Thank you, Oz. It's really great to be here. Really just a couple of weeks after the ribbon cutting for Rincon Green. Oz had mentioned the mid-market tax exclusion, and actually soon after the mayor was appointed, it was the first piece of legislation that I had introduced along with the mayor's office. And, you know, as a policymaker, often the policies that you introduce is often a leap of faith. You're never quite sure if it's going to work out the way that you promise members of the public. So you can say that this is going to create jobs. You can say that this is going to revitalize a corridor that had the largest commercial vacancy rate in the entire city, and that it would attract companies to buildings that had been vacant for 50 or 60 years. You can make those promises, you can make those grand commitments when you introduce legislation, but you're never quite sure if it's actually going to work out. And we were very fortunate, I think with a lot of effort, a lot of thoughtfulness, and a lot of wrangling. It was a very tough and difficult process. We were able to get that going, and we were lucky that companies responded and that we did it the right way. And what's exciting now is that 2 years later, you almost forgot that you know, when we had started office, the #1 issue for everyone was about the economy and jobs, right? How can we spur the economy? How can we create more jobs? 2 years later, it's almost a past thought now. The economy is talked about in a very different way. It's very dynamic. It's very exciting. And the mayor and I joke about this, and several of you come with us actually once or twice a week. We meet and re-meet again, that we're on this tour together of District 6, because we go to a ribbon cutting every week, it seems like. We took a bit of a break when the mayor was in China, but now we're back on our, our tour of District 6. So this kind of development is exciting. You know, new development is very exciting. Rincon Green was a great opening for a residential neighborhood that we are building up and turning into a complete neighborhood over the next 10 years. But I actually really like the rehabbing of older buildings because we're reusing space in many ways that is underutilized. SF Mart was a great example of that. That's the building where Twitter and Yammer has moved in. The Bank of America building, but this building is going to be incredibly important. And I really think it's going to be, in some ways, one of the most visible buildings that's going to center this neighborhood. The views here are unbelievable. But the last thing that I'll say, of course, this is when Oz and I met about this building, is that hopefully we'll be able to do something about the wind turbine in this neighborhood. So when Oz was talking about the 5:30 rush from City Hall, I think we're all getting hammered by the winds that actually go up to 45 miles per hour in this corridor. So that's really exciting. 400 units, of which we'll have BMR units as well. That's going to be available for our families and working working individuals here in San Francisco, 48 units. And what I'm really excited about is a 12,000 unit rooftop playground. We talk about making San Francisco, still wants the hot tub. We could do maybe a hot tub late at night and the rooftop playground during the day. We talk about making this city a family-friendly city. But we need our developers to be a part of that. And the one great thing about having local developers, ones that live here, that work here, is that they are so committed to the city because they're a part of the city. They're not going to just build something and walk away and go somewhere else. And Oz is really one of those folks that have really been the prime example of what local developers can be. They work in partnership with the city, they work in partnership with the neighborhood, because they know they're going to be here for a long time, and so they want to be a part of building a greater city. So thank you, Oz, and congratulations to everyone that is here that is a part of this new building. Thank you.
You know, the only advantage of being 250 pounds is when the wind hits me, it doesn't bother me a bit. When you're Jane's size, it blows around down the street. The next speaker is Jeff Connie. Now, you guys, you know how we got involved with NEBF and NREA? They represent the pension fund of the electrical workers. They are a full union outfit, and they're the world's best partners. How we met them? We did 1,700 Van Ness with them, 1,700 Dianza with them in San Mateo, which was a beautiful conversion, of which we lost 100% of our money. It was a profoundly unsuccessful project. It was really beautiful, but we lost all our money. And they got all their money back. We made sure they got all their money back. And on that basis, there was a tremendous trust created. And then when this came out with an RFP, we came up with the wrong plan, but they still picked us. They are a terrific outfit. They are enlightened. They provide needed money all over the United States to provide projects like this. Without their support, we wouldn't have it. So this project wouldn't happen, and it's going to transform it. So Mr. Jeff Connie, thanks. And I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong.
Thanks, Oz. That's true. Oz lost all his money, and we got all ours back. And that's probably why we're here today. He's an incredibly honorable person. So I represent probably the only real estate investment management and development firm in the country that's owned by a union pension fund. What's that mean? Why does that make us different than other people? It makes it different in a way that I think is very much in tune with the citizens of San Francisco. Because we want to make money, we want economic success. Everybody wants economic success, but how do you measure economic success? Well, for us, we need a good return on our money. That's thing number one. But we also want to make sure that everybody who works on our jobs has a decent wage, has a decent benefit package, is safe when they do their job, is treated respectfully. That's as important to us as making money. And they're never exclusive of one another. You can do both. You just have to pay attention to it. Like I believe the citizens of San Francisco do to the citizens of San Francisco. They treat each other with respect and they take care of one another. We've had, honestly, extraordinary returns in our investments. And I think it's because we have that attitude of let's take care of everybody. Let's pay attention to the community. Let's do something that makes sense. So with this building, this has been a very challenging building. We got into this building not to do what we're doing. We got into this building to rehab it into an office building, but then the financial crisis hit. Our partner flaked on us, or not our partner at that time, our borrower. CalPERS decided they'd had enough of the real estate world and they walked away. So we had to figure out what we're going to do, and we decided to put together an RFP and try to attract the best developers in the city to bring us their best ideas. Well, we got lots and lots of submissions, and we got one that was 700 pages long, incredibly precise, very thorough, and totally wrong in terms of the project that wanted to build. But we were impressed. So we said, why don't you try again? And we started a collaborative effort with Oz and his group. Oz and Mark have just been fabulous. And of course, they've introduced us in a more intimate way to the city. Supervisor Kim and Mayor Lee have been so helpful to try to help us figure out what we're going to do here. And it's going to be a great success. Now, the IBEW, Tim Donovan is here. He runs the IBEW in San Francisco. He's going to make sure that everybody who works on this job is treated well, is paid fairly, and has dignity here. And in the end, we're going to make sure we make money. Now, the way we do that is to deploy the best team that I can think of, led by Ryan Whitaker. Relentless, intense, intelligent, and someone who really cares about what we do. And he has a whole bevy of people from our staff that help him. Jamie Cruz, our New York construction guy, who never takes no for an answer, ever, ever, ever. He's been instrumental in figuring out how are we going to take this skin down, what are we going to build here, how are we going to make this work. This is very difficult. This is not an easy project to execute on. Katie, Catherine, we have a whole bunch of people. I'm sure I'm going to forget some names, but this is a huge team effort, and it's going to be very successful. So when you see this going up, remember there's more here than just money. This is going to be a beautiful project where people are going to live, they're going to be happy, and everybody who works on it is going to walk away having done something good and have been paid for it and have been safe doing it. So thank you very much.
The next speaker really doesn't need any introduction, but he's going to get one anyway. Mayor Lee started out as the director of purchasing for the city. Then he became director of DPW. Then he became the chief administrative officer, and then he became mayor. He is the first, with all due respect to the other mayors, he's the first mayor who actually really, really, really knows how to run a city. And I am just going to give you one example of that. The reason this project exists. We could not make this building work because the expenses were just too high. Mayor Lee assembled about 80 people to try to get through a reform of the affordable housing, and Jane was a part of this too, affordable housing, to save redevelopment, to put in a huge amount of money into providing affordable housing. And one of the provisions was to reduce the requirement for if you put instead of paying a fee, if you put the affordable housing in the buildings, you could reduce from 15% to 12%. We did not meet the hurdle rate for NEBF. Jeff was right. They like to have a decent return. And because of that change, we met it. This project would not be happening. And it was a massive coalition of people that normally are cutting each other's throats. We all worked well together. It was marvelous. And it is the way the city has been going under Mayor Lee's administration. So he's a great guy, and please welcome him. Thank you.
Thank you, Oz. I'll be very quick. First of all, Oz is one of the very few people whose midnight calls I will take. Because I know if I don't take them, I'll last for 5 days with headaches. But there's a lot of stories to be told. I'm very thankful for this project, and as Supervisor Kim has expressed, this is such an incredible area of the city, an incredible time for the city as well. And I think this project, more than others, has many stories to be told, and it's already beginning to come out. Not only do we honor our labor partners with good jobs, but they've got investments, too, that I think will take care of their families. And this is one way to do it, is have good, solid, confident investments for them and others to be participating in. And this is what Supervisor Kim and I have been trying with the rest of the Board of Supervisors, create a city that is investor confident for everybody. Whether you're moving your family for the first time into our city or you're trying to build something for generations to appreciate. And this particular project is going to bring more life to Civic Center than I know of any commercial enterprise that we have, because some of those commercial enterprises do bring life in the daytime. But this is going to be 24/7, and I enjoy that. I enjoy more of the people coming in and being part of this great. I mean, look at the views that they're going to have. And I wanted that hot tub as well, Oz, Jane. Anyway, I want to signal my appreciation to this. Oz was correct. This is one of the first big uses of a very complicated provision that we had in the Housing Trust Fund, but one that we unanimously approved because we knew that it was going to spark some on-site investments that were going to be invaluable to all of us. And this is going to be the first of many. And we know that Van Ness and the Market Street Corridor and Octavia are all part of a great area where we want more people to live, to enjoy the quality of life that we want to continue creating and improving. And then we have the businesses to match it. And with this and with the ground floor retail, it'll match the exciting things that are happening on our Market Street and our mid-market, whether it's Dottie's or Pearls or Machine Coffee or the great businesses that we're creating just close by and along Van Ness as well. We're seeing a reawakening of our city for good reason. Our cities need to present itself for the 21st century. We need to create room. We need to re-envision these buildings. And I love the fact that I will come here for a new reason. I used to come to this building and pick up my maps. Now, maps are no longer of much utility these days when you have so many other ways to find your direction. But now I'll come and visualize 400 units and 40 affordable and great retail space on the bottom floor. And you'll see more improvements because this will spark many other things to happen in this corridor, and particularly in that intersection of Market and Van Ness, which I think could use some help as well. This is all reawakening, very positive for the city. My job is working with the board to keep it going, keep creating more jobs. This theme does not become boring for me at all. And it's something that I know the International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers knows as well, and others. Jobs is what we present to our generations of people who want to have hope, want to move their families into a positive community, want to build strong communities, and want to keep united as a great city, not only for ourselves, for the whole state of California, for the whole West Coast, if not the country. And I get to continue bragging about this city, whether it's the Giants, whether it's the Niners, whether it's the Warriors. And by the way, you got to come by at night to City Hall because you're going to see it blue and gold as we celebrate the playoffs. But this, again, it's a great city to be a mayor. I'm so lucky to have people who are thinking in the same way, not only for ourselves, but for future generations. And we're going to include everybody. There is room in this city to be the city for the 100%. So thank you very much for being here today.
Before we go to the groundbreaking ceremony, I just wanted to make sure my two partners, Mark Babson and Tim Brable, they actually did all the work. They were up to 2 o'clock in the morning doing this 700-page reporting. I guarantee you it was not me. I did not. So many, many thanks. Now, we are going to have not a ribbon cutting. We are going to have symbolic of taking off these ugly panels. And there are 4 sledgehammers and 4 concrete panels, which I guarantee you will break. We actually tried them, so they will break. And so if the mayor and Supervisor Kim and Jeff Conne and Mark Babson, if they could go over there. And
Keeping this.
You can bring the staff meeting.
I'll bring it to question answer time.